Hello and welcome to the Front Row Back Row podcast. My name is Dr. Owen Campbell, and with me, as always, is Dr. Brian Wolf. And together we are Physio Growth. Physio Growth is a mentorship group led by two PT business owners, myself and Brian. And we work with other entrepreneurs that are trying to grow and scale their practice. And we help them kind of bounce ideas off each other and do it in a fun, consistent way. So it's not just, buy a program and then hope it works. Shots fired. So today we actually just hit the record button on a conversation I was bouncing off of Brian about an offer. So today we're going to dissect a golf offer that I'm trying to hit the Scottsdale community with in partnership with a few other stakeholders. And then Brian will kind of break it down. And then he's also doing a similar offer in Connecticut because there's a lot of golfers who are doing off-season stuff there. But we have two kind of very different businesses, right? As most people know in this on this podcast, I'm a mobile cash pay PT, and Brian's got 5 clinics where he's 50-50 cash and insurance. So we'll break it down and then kind of go from there, Brian.
Yeah, and I think so. To give some context to this episode, me and Owen were talking. Literally, we're talking about this golf program that he's trying to run and grow and do, and he's still seeing patients at their homes, being in mobile in the cash PT world, and then obviously I have 5 locations here on the East Coast that very much dabbles in insurance, but also has cash based services. So we have locations, and so literally we're just talking about some of the differences between his golf program and then one that we're trying to launch because I had a physical therapist approach me within our organization that was like, "Hey, I really want to create this like golf kind of program." And I was like, "Hell yeah, let's do it." And I go, funny enough, I've been just helping, me and Owen have been doing this for a year, kind of playing around with it. So I
Yeah.
think the reason I was thinking about it was we were literally just talking about the pros and cons, the differences, and and as we were chatting, I was like, "Yo, this is the episode. Let's hit record." Right? Like,
All right.
so I think when we think about this program as you're kind of thinking about where you are and the pros and cons, like it kind of piggybacks off a few different things we've always talked about, which is like just because you're cash based physical therapist, that doesn't necessarily put you in a position to win.
Yeah.
And you have to look at, I think the difference that people make is they think of insurance based PT and cash based PT. And the reality is it's all physical therapy and it's a business. You have to think about how to make your business profitable, how to drive the business forward. It's not about insurance or cash. It's about the physical therapy business and what you're selling. So I
Yeah.
think that, again, as you think about that
Let's
context, this episode is great to link it all together. So anyway, so
so
I think
let's
Owen,
get into the offer, right? So
yeah. So
my
start with your offer.
yeah.
What we thought about for your offer. It's a higher end offer, but think about what you're doing. Go
Yeah.
ahead.
So, just a very, very brief overview of what golfers care about is how fast they swing the club. We call it club head speed. And the faster you swing the club, the farther your distance is, and the the best players are usually the longest players on the golf course, right? So people pay a lot of money to get more distance, just like basketball players pay a lot of money to be able to jump higher, right? So the way that you can get that is if you are limited in your mobility or your strength. So you get stronger, you get more flexible. That's a great way of gaining speed. So that's where a physical therapist would come in. If your form is not correct, right? Think of a little kid throwing a baseball versus a major league baseball player, right? There's two different, very different forms, right? So that's where a golf instructor or a coach would come in. And then there's the tool, right? So there's the club. And if the club has to have the right shaft and the right size and the right everything to be able to hit the little ball as far as it can. So my offer was kind of an all-encompassing offer of 6-week program with you get an evaluation at the beginning by all three club fitters, the club fitter, the instructor, and me. And then you do 6 weeks with between the instructor and the physical therapist of working on your body and your swing mechanics and all that. And then at the end, you get fit for a club, right? So you get a brand new driver out of it, right? And it's custom fit to you. So of course, anybody who knows golf knows that all three of those things cost money. So the entry point to that is $2,000. Now, if you were to buy all those services together, separately, I should say, they would be somewhere like 200 or 2,500, right? So it's a $500 value, right? But it's still a $2,000 offer at the lowest end. And then if you want more sessions during those 6 weeks, fancier driver, or maybe extra money to be able to do something else, then you go all the way up. And I think the highest tier is something like 3,200. So um, the sessions take place at the people's homes or at their country club or wherever allows me to come in.
Cool. And I think one of the things I wanted to talk about was now talk about the way that you've advertised this so far and
Mhm.
what the success rate's been.
Yeah. So, well, first off, the hardest part is, I started just recently with, I started at the beginning with traffic ads. So I used a meta ad type called traffic, which is basically just awareness. People knows that you exist. And it looked like I made a video, and that video appeared to have pretty good click through rate, is what they call it. So how many times if somebody sees it, they click it, right? So that was what I was looking for, just to make sure that the ad was actually making people go from Facebook to a website, right? Um, so that looked good. It hit the metrics that we wanted, under 40 cents a click. Click through rate was 2%. All these things are good, right? So then I did a leads campaign, right? And I upgraded the landing page to make sure that people like kind of converted, right? I put it into a system that made it so that immediately they got a text message and all that. We've talked about the system called Go High Level. But then, I started running lead ads on Meta 2 days ago, right? So, or sorry, yesterday. Um, and to this point, haven't got kills me, but I haven't gotten a single lead. I did $40 a day, right? And so I've spent $60. Now my target in my head was $30 a lead. So if I got 2 leads that come in tomorrow, then I'm at $30 a lead, and this is a great campaign. But that's you gotta that's the hardest part about ads is you just have to watch the money go away and hope it comes back to you.
Yeah, I mean, I think part of it, if people are listening to this, I my recommendation to Owen was like, you just haven't spent enough money yet. It's that simple when it
Mhm.
comes to advertising. There's a lot of that I think is important. As far as the differences between the offers and what we're doing here. And again, for Owen, like for people listening, like I've done advertising a lot more when it comes to paid advertising, and I also have a bigger budget, right? Like that's the advantage I
Mhm.
have in our business, right? Just based off of where we are in our businesses. So as far as what we're doing is actually creating, like for Owen, what I would say is, hey, like he's got this high end offer. The reality is, like, you want to spend, if you're going to go for $2,000, you got to be willing to spend $2,000 in advertising alone at a minimum just to figure out if an ad works or not. And
Yeah.
so for me, because if I'm thinking about I'm going to spend $2,000, I'm going to pay buy to get the $2,000. In essence, I'm going to pay myself back for the advertising and then be able to continue the advertising. Now, to Owen's point, what's going to happen is he's got to cut the club fitter, he's got to cut the pro. And so we realized with this offer, like some of this has a little bit, like really for him, like what do you take out of that, Owen, out of that 2,000?
Well, yeah. So this is where now we're kind of getting to the point where we're seeing, okay, it's going to cost a good amount of money per lead. I'm going to talk to the pro and the club fair, and they've been pretty open about the fact that they'll throw money into the pot, right?
Yeah.
Um, because they're also getting money, right? So I think if
Yeah.
let's for round numbers, the $7,000, or sorry, the $2,000 offer, the club fitter, they do like a $700 credit, right, which will get you a good this year's driver. Um, and I get like both me and the pro get something like 550. And then I added like an extra padding of like 100 or so in there for like extra if we need it more for advertising. So essentially, I get somewhere around like $600, right, out of the lowest tier selling point.
Mhm.
Um, Now, keep in mind, I'm lowering my normal rates for this. I'm looking at this as like a lead magnet, so I already know I'm kind of going to lose money because I figure if somebody sees me for 2 or 3 sessions, then they're probably going to see me for more than that because my average is like 8 a session or 8 per referral. So I'm okay with losing a little bit of money on it, but like getting to 2,000 right away by myself, it doesn't make sense. I'd have to sell 4 packages to make that back.
Exactly. So then the answer really becomes, let's say that Owen's making $800 on this, right?
Yeah.
So then the advertising cost that he would do is $800. I'd probably say to double it. So think about like 1,600. So
Yeah.
1,600 would be what Owen needs to be willing to spend to basically make the 800 just to learn about the ad networking. The
Yep.
reality is with advertising, you got to swing a little bit to know and miss. That's the like to Owen's point. That's the puckering point that you got to be
Mhm.
careful of, right?
Yep.
That being said, the other thing is to make this a little more efficient. So the other aspect. So this is where our offer comes in and what we're doing here. And again, this is the advantage of being an insurance-based program, right?
Mhm.
Basically, for us, we're offering a program. It's $6.99. We found a Golf Pro. We're not doing the fitting because the Golf Pro was like anti-fitting the club. He does fitting in the club, and he's like, I can sell him the club, but at the end of the day, like they may not want that. So I was like, all right, like you know what, keep that totally separate. We'll pitch and create the offer around just the one lesson.
Yep.
So it was like cool. It's like this is great. You're gonna do leads, and I was like, yeah, well, I'll get you leads and I'll send them over here. When they sign up, they come over, right? And so we basically agreed on it would be 75 bucks for a half hour for him to go over there. Then what
Yeah.
we did was we designed an offer where it's one-on-one with one of our physical therapists for 6 sessions for 40 minutes, and it's $6.99 for that package. So what happens is basically we take home around 115 a visit for the 40 minutes, which is right on our cash number, which is great.
Yeah.
So it's the other advantage to going to less time. If you go to more time, where it's an hour with me one-on-one, it's 150. Now the package just skyrocketed. Whereas in theory, if you go 40 minutes, you can go 115. So it's a little bit of a lowering price aspect. Then
Yeah.
on the
Which
flip
40
side,
minutes as a mobile therapist would be
100%.
awful.
So
Yeah.
so that's the parallel I'm drawing, right? For
Yeah.
Owen, like this is the disadvantage that Owen has versus the advantage that I've got. Versus on the flip side, so again, when you think about this as a customer, it's a challenge. That's why we were going over this, me and him, and I was like, let's hit record and just kind of explain this process to people. So the other aspect of, so that's just the bare minimum one, right? So say someone's like, hey, I want to go up in upper tiers. You want to have different offers. So in this scenario, what we did was basically the other offer we have is if you want to do one of our PT classes, which was other people, plus you do the one-on-ones, it's like $990, something like that. I can't remember what it was, but it's like one PT class plus 6 sessions of the PT. So it's a 12 session thing. And we're able to set it up. And so basically those are 40 bucks a class on those. Then you could do 2 classes plus the PTs. That's a higher package. I want to say that was almost like 1,200 bucks for that class, and that you still get all the stuff with the pro, right? So now
Yeah.
what's happened is we've just elevated our piece. So that's something I was going to sell to Owen is like just elevate your side of it and play around with some different numbers on what you can do, because there might be different value for different people. Now going back to what we were doing offering, the other advantage we have is those are just the 3 tiers of the PT program for the golf. We can still backdoor people into our fitness program. We can, which is a certain amount of money per month, so you can just join the gym, and it's not
Yeah.
cheap. It's not cheap either. That's probably $6.99 for the program. It involves some PT. Well, we probably develop that. I probably develop on the fly a little bit in a sales meeting.
Yeah.
But then on the flip side too, we would also just say, hey, if you want, you can just come to physical. Say like, well, I get back pain when I play. Well, why don't you just do PT, and they can go through their insurance. So they got
Yeah.
Blue Cross Blue Shield, which we take. It's a $20 copay. That's
Yeah.
the insurance game. That's the difference. We offer all these other cash-based services, but we can
Mhm.
always backdoor them into insurance. And that's the disadvantage that a lot of cash PTs will have. So
Yeah.
again, now Owen's in Arizona. I'm in Connecticut. And Owen's talked about how eventually when he levels up, he'll go to insurance. Why? Because Owen understands this, number one. Number two, right? I mean, for real, right? Oh, I mean, you get
Yeah.
this.
I mean,
And then two is imagine me and Owen are now both in Connecticut and you're a golfer. You got this golf program. Who are you going to come to? And here's the kicker. You could
mhm.
go and buy the $2,000 program and work with Owen and work with me because I'm taking your insurance. That's the game. So people don't realize like
Mhm.
they're almost two different customers. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So the
Yep.
aspect of it is like there's going to be golfers that'll come to the door just for the fact of like, oh, I saw you guys taking my insurance. I'm going to come in. Can I just do PT? They won't even
Yeah.
go through the whole sales process. They won't even call us. It becomes truly passive income.
Yep.
That's the insurance game. And so when you think
Yeah.
about that process, like that's what I've realized we were gonna have this conversation. So anyway, and now kind of going back, talking, I know we're up against our time, but think about
You're fine.
kind of what things would you kind of modify and then what kind of and then what we were talking about is maybe here's another piece. What Owen was talking about is I don't have any leads, I haven't done this, and my recommendation would be to spend more money. But at the end of the day, if it doesn't work, one of the things I was saying to him is I was like, just table this for now, because in theory, the
Mhm.
two disadvantages that he has, he doesn't take insurance, and two, he doesn't have a location. So that
Yeah.
might be challenging for you mobile cash PTs out there. This is a population that if you want to treat, it might be tricky to start a program like this on a mobile basis. Whereas if
Mhm.
he was just talking about the partnership with a golf pro place, Now all of a sudden it becomes a little bit more lucrative because he can do the 40-minute session. He can do this, right? It's 30 minutes to an hour. Now you can manipulate it because you can do back to back to back people. And that's
Yeah.
advantage. Or you can group them, which
Well,
is huge too.
and that's it, and that's where I may look at if we get, a lot of good feedback about it, but just not, the actual financial feedback of like a bunch of people knocking down our doors. Um, then I know the problem is the fact that it's either the price is too high or people want it to be at like a fitness center, right? Um, and that's where the nice thing is I could do like a revenue share agreement with like a local gym, right? And just say, look, for this particular program, I'm going to bring people into your gym. I'll cut you, 10%, 20%, something like that.
Yeah.
That's an option I could do like within the month, right? If something doesn't work. Um, but then, yeah, like you said, it is very much something where like it runs a lot smoother when you have a location. And then obviously for me, if you do, if it goes through insurance, like
Yeah.
that just makes everything easier. I always kind of tell people with, well, they say, why don't you take insurance? I say, it's not like I want to never take insurance because I mean, yes, they're annoying, and yes, they do reduce raised rates, and we have to fight for it and all that. But like that'd be like saying if 80-90% of iPhones sold were sold at a discount, why would you try and sell the iPhone for full price?
Yeah.
Right? Like it's just I would want to find a way to get that discount so I could get more volume, right? So yeah, there's different ways I'm going to go based on how the next probably 2 weeks of marketing or advertising go.
Yeah, man. I think too, when you think about some of these different things, right? Like when you think about different marketing and programs and whatnot from that perspective, one of the things that kind of creeps into my head as we're talking about is the other aspect of think about it this way, right? Like it's the shows the difference between cash based and insurance PT. What I'm excited about to see is Owen is as he grows his business in cash, right? His cash based clinic then opens up his own location. Scaling is going to be better in insurance, right?
Yeah.
So Owen has a history of doing that and blowing that up. So with other companies. So the reality is when he transitions,
Yeah.
that's just going to be the hardest part. But once he gets cooking, it should be no problem, right? So like,
Yeah, I'm in the weird part
there's
where
no
like I don't feel any problem at all taking insurance. I'm more just like I just don't want to pull that lever if I'm going to make
yes,
money all for myself and not have to worry about it, right? Like I feel fundamentally confident in like building a insurance-based clinic.
yeah, that's
But
the
I'm also
best.
not your average cash pay PT.
Yeah, but that for those of you listening, exactly. For those people listening and thinking about cash PT versus insurance and are on the high horse of cash PT is better, hear it no different than this episode when we talk about it. Like there's pros and cons to both. That's exactly how I would put it. There's
Yeah.
pros and cons to both. But personally, if I think about the scaling of a business, the insurance game's the way to go, right?
Well,
And
and
again,
the
yeah,
biggest thing I look at is if you want a great job and you want great work life balance and you just by yourself and knock on wood everything stays fine with your ability to do that, you don't move anything like that, cash PT definite way to go, right?
yeah,
Like it's if you can build it, right? If you can build the marketing and get those 3 years of driving to all these different shows and popping up your table and all that stuff, that's great. But if you want to build like an actual asset in a business and like make it something that runs without you and you can like retire early,
yeah, man,
then I have a hard time, at least today, seeing doing that without taking insurance. Because
yeah.
even though the rates aren't great like they were when we started, right, relative to inflation, it's still 95% of the market.
Well, I think
Like
I think the bigger thing I think the bigger thing is that it's to understand that cash PT can be a good way to start. Because to your point,
yeah,
oh, I love the way Owen said that. It's not the lever I'm ready to pull yet. So
yeah,
think of it no different than like raising your rates in cash PT. You're just raising your ability. What I do is in my program has a much lower barrier to entry. And so
yeah,
it's a volume game. So in theory,
yeah,
we can get more people in. So if I said, Owen, you got 10 people that just signed up tomorrow, Owen would be like, oh, fuck, I don't know if I can handle that or blah, 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 right? For me, I'm like, perfect. We can do that, right?
yeah,
We're looking for 20,
yeah.
30, 40 would be amazing, right? So,
Well, yeah, each referral is way harder to get in cash pay, right?
yes, yep.
That's the issue.
You're
And
fighting for your dinner
yes,
every day.
well, and that's it. And then yes, there's a difference, right? Like I charge 175 in Arizona at least. The average reimbursement's like 90, right? 85 maybe, 90. Um so, per visit, I'm making almost double, right?
Yeah.
But the fact that I got to spend so much on each new referral, right, is challenging at scale.
Yes. 100%. And so that's the key, like when it
Yeah.
comes to some of this stuff. So anyway, these are the types of things we talk about in physio growth, the type of stuff that
Mhm.
we're chatting about all the time. Insurance, cash, what should I do? Where am I in my business? You could be just starting out. You could be trying to start with another practice and trying to build something up. You could be like my guy who's like, hey, I want to start a golf program that's cash based. I said, hell yeah, let's do it. An insurance based practice. You could be scaling an insurance based practice. We help all those types of businesses. If you're in physical therapy and you're looking to level up and make more money, physio growth is the place to go. And it's $99 a week, guys, or a month, guys. It's very inexpensive. So if you're looking for mentorship in any capacity on the business side, this is a great opportunity. So visit
I'm telling you,
physio-growth.com.
the offer breakdown part of that is probably the best, right? Like
Hell yeah.
we've had a few people in that group where they're just like, well, I'm thinking about offering this, and we're like, do this, not that, offer it this way. Oh, okay.
For sure. For sure.
So
Advertise it
even
this
just
way,
if
change this,
even
make
just to
those
have a review,
relationships.
even just if you could review your offers, I take it.
Heck yeah.
All
Totally
right,
agree.
man. All right.
Totally.
See you,
All right,
buddy. Have
dude.
a good one.
You too. See ya.